Arlo Vance handed the stranger his last $18. It was insane. Completely insane. He had just been fired an hour ago, framed for something he didn't do. And now he was giving away the only money standing between him and his 7-year-old daughter going to bed hungry. But the woman beside him at the bus stop kept counting those crumpled bills, her hands shaking, and he just couldn't watch her suffer. Not when he knew exactly what that kind of desperation felt like. So he gave it to her. All of it. She thanked him with tears in her eyes and got on the bus. And Arlo started the long walk home, wondering how he would explain to Mila why there would be nothing for dinner. The next morning, someone knocked on his door. When Arlo opened it, his heart stopped. 5 black SUVs lined the street outside his apartment. Men and women in expensive suits were stepping out. And walking toward him, dressed like she owned half the city, was her. The woman from the bus stop. Only now she looked like someone who could buy and sell his entire neighborhood without blinking. "We need to talk," she said. What happened next would change Arlo's life forever in ways he never could have imagined. Arlo hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. His stomach had stopped growling hours ago. Now it just felt hollow, the same way everything else did. He walked through the dark streets, replaying the moment over and over. Reed Nolan standing there with that smug look on his face. Harper Quinn refusing to meet his eyes. His supervisor sliding the termination papers across the desk like it was already decided. "We have witnesses who saw you take the equipment, Arlo. Multiple witnesses." He had never stolen anything in his life. But who was going to believe him? A black man from the South Side working a factory job, accused by 2 people willing to lie. The system wasn't built to give him the benefit of the doubt. He knew that. Had known it his whole life. The bus stop appeared ahead, lit by a single flickering street light. Arlo dropped onto the bench and let his head fall back. His daughter Mila was waiting. Sweet, trusting Mila with her gap-toothed smile and her drawings of their family. Always 3 people, even though it had only been 2 for 3 years now. She still drew her mother in every picture, a small figure with wings watching over them from the corner of the page. How was he supposed to tell her? How was he supposed to explain that Daddy lost his job because sometimes people lied and the world didn't care about the truth? A woman sat down beside him. Arlo barely noticed at first. Then he heard her breathing, quick, panicked. The kind that comes right before you fall apart completely. He glanced over. She was maybe late 30s, dark brown skin catching the weak light, dressed in jeans and a shirt that had seen better days. Her natural hair was pulled back, but strands had escaped, framing a face tight with desperation. Her hands were shaking as she counted a handful of bills and coins, once, twice, 3 times. Each time her face fell a little more. "Excuse me," she said quietly, her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry to bother you, but do you have any change? I'm short for the bus fare." Arlo looked at her, really looked at her. There were tear tracks on her cheeks. Her eyes had that glazed, desperate look he had seen in his own mirror too many times. This was a woman at the end of her rope, clinging to whatever shred of hope she had left. He pulled out his wallet. $18. That was it. That was everything. If he gave it to her, he would have to walk the 4 miles home. Mila would ask why he was so late. Mrs. Alden would worry, and tomorrow there would be nothing for breakfast. But this woman was breaking right in front of him, and Arlo knew what it felt like to break, knew what it felt like to have the world turn its back on you when you needed help the most. He held out the money. "Here, take it." She stared at the bills like they were a lifeline. "I can't. That's too much. I just need—" "Please," Arlo said. "Just take it." Her hands trembled as she accepted the money. I don't even know what to say. Thank you doesn't feel like enough." "It's okay," Arlo said, even though it wasn't, even though he had no idea how he would make it through tomorrow. "I'm Selene," she said, wiping her eyes. "I'm not usually… tonight's been…" She couldn't finish. "Arlo, and I get it. Bad nights happen." The bus pulled up with a hiss of brakes. Selene stood clutching the money. "I'm going to pay you back. I don't know how yet, but I will. I promise." Arlo nodded, not believing her. People always said things like that. They never followed through. That was just how the world worked. Selene got on the bus and it drove away, leaving Arlo alone under the broken streetlight, 4 miles in the dark on an empty stomach. He started walking. Mila was already asleep when he finally made it home. Mrs. Alden had fed her dinner, mac and cheese, she said, and stayed late without charging extra. She was good like that. One of the only good things left in Arlo's life. Mrs. Alden was a retired teacher who lived 2 floors down. She had been helping with Mila since the early days after Sarah's death, when Arlo could barely function. She never asked for more than he could give, and she loved Mila like her own grandchild. "You look terrible," Mrs. Alden said quietly, gathering her things. Something happened. Arlo couldn't even pretend. "I lost my job." Mrs. Alden's face fell. She didn't say any of the useless things people say. She just squeezed his shoulder. "We'll figure it out, we always do." After she left, Arlo stood in Mila's doorway, watching her sleep. She had his wife's nose, Sarah's way of curling up on her side with one hand tucked under her cheek. The moonlight caught the brown of her skin, and she looked so peaceful, so unaware of the storm bearing down on them. "I'm sorry, baby," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." He didn't sleep that night, just sat at the kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills he couldn't pay, wondering what came next. Maybe there was construction work, day labor that paid cash. It wouldn't be enough, but it would be something. He had survived before. He would survive again. The knock came at 8 o'clock in the morning. Arlo had been awake for hours, nursing his 3rd cup of watered-down coffee. Mila was eating cereal, the last of it, and humming a song from school. Some tune about butterflies that she couldn't quite get right. "I'll get it," Arlo said, expecting Mrs. Alden or maybe the landlord coming early to remind him rent was due. He opened the door and froze. 5 black SUVs lined the street. Actual SUVs, the kind with tinted windows and chrome that caught the morning sun. People in suits were standing beside them, men and women who looked like they had stepped out of a corporate magazine. And walking up his cracked sidewalk, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than his rent, was Selene, the woman from the bus stop. But she didn't look anything like the broken person who had counted change with shaking hands. She looked powerful, confident, like someone who could make or break lives with a phone call. Her natural hair was styled perfectly, her makeup flawless, her posture radiating authority. "Hello, Arlo," she said. His mouth wouldn't work. He just stood there, aware of how shabby his apartment must look, how he was still in yesterday's clothes, how Mila was calling from inside, asking who it was. "Can we talk?" Selene asked. "I promised I'd pay you back." Arlo finally found his voice. "You didn't have to. It was just…" He gestured helplessly at the SUVs. "What is all this?" "My security team, my assistant, my attorney." Selene smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Can I come in?" Arlo stepped aside, his mind reeling. Mila appeared in the hallway, her eyes going wide. "Daddy, who are all those people?" "Hey, sweetheart," Selene said, crouching down. "I'm Selene. I'm a friend of your dad's." "You're pretty," Mila said. "Do you like soccer? I have a game on Saturday." "Mila," Arlo said, "why don't you finish your breakfast?" Selene waited until Mila skipped back to the kitchen. Then she turned to Arlo and her professional mask cracked just a little. "Last night I was robbed," she said quietly. "They took my car, my phone, my wallet, everything. Left me stranded downtown with nothing. I'm sorry, Arlo said. That's terrible, but I own a marketing firm, Heartline Creative. Maybe you've heard of it. She didn't wait for an answer. 50 employees, 15 million in annual revenue. Last night someone set me up. Someone close to me wanted me vulnerable, wanted me gone, and they almost succeeded. Arlo's head spun. I don't understand. Why are you telling me this? Celine's eyes locked on his. Because when I had nothing. When everyone else walked past me like I was invisible, you gave me everything you had. A complete stranger. You gave me your last dollar. It was $18, Arlo said weakly. It was everything, Celine corrected. And now I want to know why. Why did you do it? Arlo sank onto the couch. I don't know. You looked like I felt. Like the world had just taken everything and you were barely hanging on. I couldn't just walk away. Even though you just lost your job? Arlo's head snapped up. How did you... I do my research. Celine's voice was steady. I know you were fired yesterday. I know it wasn't your fault. And I know you're raising your daughter alone. She sat across from him. Tell me what happened. So he did. The whole miserable story spilled out. Sarah's death 3 years ago, the cancer that took her in 8 months, the struggle to keep Mila fed and clothed, the job at the factory that barely paid enough, Reed Nolan and Harper Quinn's lies, the termination he couldn't fight because his word meant nothing against 2 people willing to commit perjury. Celine listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. I need someone I can trust, she finally said. Someone with integrity. Someone who does the right thing even when it costs them everything. She leaned forward. Come work for me, Arlo. Help me find out who betrayed me, and let me give you the second chance you gave me. Arlo stared at her. You're offering me a job? A real one. Full benefits. Salary that'll let you take care of Mila the way she deserves. Celine's expression softened. I'm not doing this out of pity. I'm doing it because last night you showed me who you are. And that's exactly who I need on my team. Mila appeared in the doorway again, staring at Celine with wide eyes full of hope. Arlo looked at his daughter, then at Celine, then at the life he had been trying so hard to hold together with both hands. Okay, he said. Yes, I'll do it. Celine smiled, a real smile this time. Good, because we have a lot of work to do. Arlo's first day at Heartline Creative felt like stepping into another universe. The office occupied 3 floors of a glass building downtown. Everything gleamed. Polished marble, modern art on the walls, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. People moved through the halls with purpose, their voices confident, their clothes expensive. Arlo felt like an imposter in his department store shirt and borrowed tie. He was acutely aware of the looks he got, the whispers that followed him. Who was this guy? Why was he here? Celine met him in the lobby herself. Ignore the looks, she said quietly. Half these people wouldn't last a day in your shoes. Come on. She led him to a conference room where a man in his 50s sat reviewing documents. Salt and pepper hair cropped close, sharp eyes, the kind of face that didn't miss anything. His dark skin was weathered in a way that suggested a life of hard work and harder decisions. This is Victor Hale, my CFO, Celine said. Victor, this is Arlo Vance. He's going to help us figure out what happened. Victor looked Arlo up and down. No offense, Ms. Hart, but what exactly are his qualifications? He's someone I trust, Celine said firmly. That's more valuable than any degree right now. Over the next 2 hours, they laid it out for him. Celine had been working late at the office 3 nights ago. Her assistant, Colin Drew, had insisted she take his car since hers was in the shop. She had driven to a client dinner downtown, and when she came out, the car was gone. Her phone had been in it. Her wallet. Everything. Colin reported it stolen immediately, Victor said. Very concerned, very helpful. Even offered to let Celine stay at his place that night. But you didn't, Arlo said, looking at Celine. Something felt off, she admitted. The timing was too convenient. And when I checked my credit cards the next morning, someone had tried to use them at 3 different locations, like they were testing the limits before the accounts got frozen. Arlo leaned back. You think Colin set it up? I think someone did, Celine said carefully. And Colin's the obvious choice. But I need proof before I accuse him. He's been with me for 4 years. If I'm wrong, you destroy an innocent person's life, Arlo finished. He knew exactly how that felt. Exactly. Celine slid a folder across the table. This is everything we have so far. Transaction records, timeline, security footage from the restaurant. I need you to look at it with fresh eyes. Arlo opened the folder. His hands weren't quite steady, numbers and documents. He had been working factory floors for years, not investigating corporate theft. But he understood betrayal. He understood the way people smiled to your face while sliding a knife between your ribs. I'll do my best, he said. The work consumed him. Arlo spent his days combing through expense reports, cross-referencing receipts, tracking patterns. Celine had given him a small office with a computer and told him to dig. What he found made his stomach turn. Colin Drew had been skimming for at least 18 months. Small amounts at first. A few hundred here, 1,000 there, buried in legitimate expenses. But it had escalated. In the last 6 months alone, nearly $80,000 had vanished into ghost vendors and inflated invoices. He needed the robbery, Arlo told Celine one evening, spreading printouts across her desk. Look at this. 2 weeks ago, your external auditors scheduled a review. Colin would have known he was about to get caught. Celine studied the documents, her jaw tight. So he stages a robbery, makes himself look like the helpful assistant. And in the chaos, he planned to disappear, Arlo said. Blame it on whoever stole the car. By the time you pieced it together, he'd be gone. Except I ran into you. Instead, Celine said softly. And you brought me home. And I started asking questions faster than he expected. Victor appeared in the doorway. We have enough for the police. More than enough, Arlo said. Celine picked up her phone. Then let's end this. The police arrested Colin Drew the next morning. He had been planning to leave the country that weekend. They found the tickets on his computer, a one-way flight to a country without extradition. As they led him out in handcuffs, he looked at Celine with such hatred that Arlo instinctively stepped closer to her. You would have lost everything without that homeless guy helping you, Colin spat. You got lucky. No, Celine said coldly. I got smart. There's a difference. After Colin was gone, the office felt lighter. People smiled more. Celine walked the halls without the weight of betrayal on her shoulders, and somehow, in the middle of all of it, Arlo had become part of the team. Not just the guy investigating fraud, an actual employee. People asked his opinion in meetings. They invited him to lunch. Victor clapped him on the shoulder and called him a natural. For the first time in 3 years, Arlo felt like himself again, like maybe the world hadn't completely given up on him. Daddy, is Celine coming to my game? Mila bounced on her toes, her soccer uniform slightly too big, her cleats tied in uneven bows. It was Saturday morning, and the field was packed with parents setting up folding chairs and kids warming up. The sun was bright, and Mila's team was huddled together, their coach giving them a last-minute pep talk. I don't know, sweetheart, Arlo said, even though Celine had promised she would try. She's really busy, but she said she wanted to see me play. Celine had been spending more time with them, dinners after work, once or twice a week. She had helped Mila with a school project about famous black inventors, bringing books and printouts and her own enthusiasm. She had brought coffee to the apartment on Sunday mornings and sat at their tiny kitchen table like she belonged there. And Arlo was falling apart. Because somewhere between the investigation and the late-night strategy sessions and the way Celine laughed at Mila's terrible jokes, he had started feeling things he had no business feeling. She was his boss. She had saved his life. And he was just Arlo, just a factory worker who had gotten lucky. What could he possibly offer someone like her? Arlo. He turned. Celine was jogging across the parking lot, dressed in jeans and a sweater, her hair natural and loose, looking nothing like the CEO who commanded boardrooms. Mila shrieked and ran to her. Celine scooped her up, spinning her around. "You came," Mila said. "Of course I came. I promised, didn't I?" Celine set her down and looked at Arlo. "Sorry I'm late. Conference call ran long. It's Saturday. Tell that to the clients." She smiled, and something in Arlo's chest twisted. "Come on," she said. "I want good seats for this." They sat together on the bleachers, Celine cheering louder than anyone when Mila scored a goal in the second half. Afterward, they got ice cream, Mila's choice, and walked through the park while Mila ran ahead, still buzzing with energy. "She's amazing," Celine said. "You're doing an incredible job with her." "I'm trying," Arlo said. "Some days are harder than others." "I can imagine." Celine was quiet for a moment. "My parents divorced when I was 8. My dad disappeared, just gone one day. My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. She watched Mila climb a tree, fearless. I built my company because I never wanted to feel that powerless again. But watching you two, I think maybe I've been missing the point." "What do you mean?" "Power doesn't mean anything if you're alone." Celine's voice was soft. "You have something I've been chasing my whole life. You have family, love, purpose beyond a profit margin." Arlo's heart hammered. "Celine! Celine, look!" Mila called. "I'm a monkey!" The moment broke. Celine laughed and waved, but when Arlo glanced at her, she was still looking at him, and the air between them felt electric. They were in dangerous territory now, and Arlo had no idea how to step back. Over the next month, the lines blurred completely. Celine came to every soccer game. She taught Mila how to braid hair, something Arlo had never mastered despite years of trying. She brought groceries when she visited, fancy things Arlo couldn't afford, and pretended it was no big deal. Mila started drawing pictures of 3 people again: her, Daddy, and Celine. And Arlo was terrified, because he was in love with her, completely, irreversibly in love. And he had no idea if she felt the same way, or if he was just a charity project that had gotten out of hand. He couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk losing the job that had saved them. Couldn't risk Mila getting attached to someone who might walk away. But every time Celine smiled at him, every time her hand brushed his, every time she looked at Mila like she was something precious, Arlo was drowning, and he didn't know how to save himself. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Mila had drawn another picture at school. Her, Arlo, and Celine holding hands under a rainbow. She had written "My family" across the top in wobbly letters. "Can I give it to Celine?" Mila asked at dinner. "I made it special for her." Arlo stared at the drawing, his throat tight. "Sure, baby, she'll love it." But after Mila went to bed, Arlo sat alone in the dark, that picture on the table in front of him, and realized he couldn't keep doing this, couldn't keep pretending, couldn't keep letting Mila build a fantasy that might shatter. He had to tell Celine the truth. Even if it meant losing everything, even if it meant breaking his daughter's heart. Saturday came with perfect weather. Sunshine, clear skies, the kind of day that made everything feel possible. Mila's team was playing their rivals, and the stands were packed. Celine arrived early, carrying a poster she had made with Mila's jersey number on it. Mila screamed with delight when she saw it. "You made that for me?" "Of course," Celine said, grinning. "Now go out there and show them what you've got." Mila ran onto the field, and Celine settled beside Arlo on the bleachers. She was wearing jeans and a blue sweater that brought out the warmth in her brown skin, her hair in loose twists. She looked happy, relaxed, more beautiful than Arlo had any right to notice. "She's been talking about this game all week," Celine said. Apparently Tommy Henderson said girls can't play soccer as good as boys, and Mila took that personally. Arlo laughed despite his nerves. That sounds like her. They watched the game in comfortable silence for a while. Mila was playing forward, darting around defenders with fierce determination. Every time she touched the ball, Selene jumped up, cheering. In the second half, Mila scored. A perfect shot to the bottom corner that left the goalkeeper diving too late. Selene grabbed Arlo's arm, shaking him. "Did you see that? Oh my God, did you see that?" "I saw it," Arlo said. But he wasn't looking at the field anymore. He was looking at Selene, at the pure joy on her face, the way she celebrated Mila's victory like it was her own. And he knew, right then, he couldn't keep this inside anymore. The game ended with Mila's team winning 3-2. Mila ran over, sweaty and triumphant, and Selene hugged her tight. "You were incredible out there." "Did you see my goal, Daddy?" "I saw it, baby. I'm so proud of you." Arlo's voice came out rough. "Hey, why don't you go celebrate with your team? Selene and I need to talk for a minute." Mila looked between them, suddenly serious. "Are you guys okay?" "We're fine," Selene said quickly. "Go have fun. We'll get ice cream after." Mila ran off, and Selene turned to Arlo. "What's wrong? You look like you're about to throw up." "I need to tell you something." His hands were shaking. "And I need you to let me get through it before you say anything." "Okay." Selene's smile faded. "Arlo, you're scaring me. I'm in love with you." The words tumbled over each other, desperate to escape. "I know I shouldn't be. I know you're my boss and you saved my life, and this is probably the most inappropriate thing I could say. But I can't keep pretending. I wake up thinking about you. I go to sleep thinking about you. Mila draws pictures of the three of us like we're a family. And every time she does, my heart breaks a little more because I want that so badly it hurts." Selene stood frozen, her eyes wide. "I understand if this changes everything," Arlo continued. "I understand if you need me to resign. I'll do whatever you want. I couldn't keep lying. Not to you, you deserve the truth." The silence stretched between them. Parents were packing up around them. Kids were running past, but Arlo's entire world had narrowed to Selene's face. "Are you done?" she finally asked. Arlo nodded, not trusting his voice. Selene stepped closer. "Good, because I've been waiting 2 months for you to say that." "What?" "Arlo Vance, you are the most frustrating man I've ever met." Her eyes were bright. "Do you think I go to every soccer game for just anybody? Do you think I spend my Sundays in your tiny apartment drinking bad coffee because I'm being charitable?" You thought wrong." Selene's voice cracked. "I've been in love with you since the day you handed me that money at the bus stop. Since the day you looked at me like I was a person who mattered. Not a transaction, not an opportunity, just a person." She took a shaky breath. "And every day since then, I've been trying to figure out how to tell you without making things weird at work." Arlo's brain had stopped working. You love me?" "Yes, you idiot." Selene laughed, and it sounded like crying. "I love you. I love Mila. I love the way you make terrible pancakes on Sunday mornings, and how you always put her needs before your own, and how you're kind even when the world has given you every reason not to be." "Selene." She kissed him, right there on the bleachers, with half the soccer parents watching. Selene grabbed his face and kissed him like she had been holding back for months. And maybe she had been. Maybe they both had. Arlo kissed her back, his hands in her hair, his heart hammering so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. She tasted like hope, like second chances, like everything he had been too afraid to want. When they finally broke apart, Mila was standing 3 feet away, her mouth hanging open. "Does this mean Selene is my new mom?" Selene burst out laughing. Arlo buried his face in his hands. How about we start with girlfriend and see how it goes? Celine said, pulling Mila into a hug. Can we still get ice cream? Absolutely. 1 month later, Arlo proposed. It wasn't fancy. No restaurant, no elaborate plan. Just the three of them in the park where they had walked that first day after Mila's game. Mila had picked wildflowers and woven them into a crown for Celine. And when Celine put it on, laughing, Arlo realized he couldn't wait another second. He got down on one knee right there in the grass. I don't have a ring yet, he said, and I know this is fast, but I've lost enough time in my life. I don't want to lose any more. Celine Hart, will you marry us? Celine's hands flew to her mouth. Us? Mila nodded seriously. We're a package deal. Yes, Celine said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I'll marry you. Both of you. Mila shrieked and tackled them both, and they collapsed in a heap on the grass, laughing and crying and holding on to each other like they would never let go. The wedding was small, just close friends and family in Celine's backyard. Mrs. Alden was there, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. Victor Hale stood as Arlo's best man, gruff and proud. Mila was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously, scattering petals with intense concentration. When Arlo saw Celine walking toward him in her simple white dress, her eyes locked on his. He thought about the night at the bus stop. The night he had given away his last $18 because he couldn't stand to watch someone suffer. He had thought he was giving her everything he had, but really she had been the one giving him everything. A job, a future, a family, a life worth living again. You okay? Celine whispered when she reached him. I'm perfect, Arlo said. And for the first time in 3 years, he meant it. 6 months later, they were walking through that same park. Arlo, Celine, and Mila. The evening sun painted everything gold, and Mila was running ahead, chasing butterflies. Daddy, look! Celine, come see! Celine squeezed Arlo's hand. She's going to be a scientist, or an explorer, something that involves running everywhere. As long as she's happy, Arlo said. They walked in comfortable silence, watching their daughter discover the world. Arlo thought about everything that had led to this moment. The job loss that had felt like the end. The stranger on the bench who had needed help. The choice to give when he had nothing left to give. You know what's funny? Celine said. If Colin hadn't set me up, if I hadn't been robbed that night, we never would have met. Don't give him credit for this. I'm not. Celine smiled. I'm just saying, sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things. Sometimes you find exactly what you need when you stop looking for it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I spent my whole life building walls, protecting myself, telling myself I didn't need anyone. And then you came along with your $18 and your kind eyes and you just... She laughed softly. You wrecked everything I thought I knew. Arlo kissed the top of her head. Good. Can we get dinner? Mila ran back to them, breathless and grinning. I'm starving. Pizza? Celine suggested. Always pizza, Mila said. They walked toward the car, Mila between them, holding both their hands. Just a normal family on a normal evening. Nothing special, everything special. Because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness change everything. Sometimes giving someone your last dollar means getting back more than you ever imagined. And sometimes, when you're at your lowest point, when you think there's nothing left worth fighting for, that's when life surprises you. That's when you realize the story isn't over. It's just beginning. Arlo looked at his wife, at his daughter, at the life he had somehow stumbled into. A year ago, he had been alone in the dark, wondering how he would feed his child. Now he had more than he had ever dared to dream. I love you, he said to Celine. She smiled, that smile that still made his heart skip. I love you too. And Mila, holding tight to both their hands, grinned up at them. "I love you three." They laughed, all of them, the sound carrying across the evening air. Three people, connected by chance and choice, and something that felt like destiny. A family, built from nothing, built from kindness, built from love, and they walked on, into whatever came next, together.